healthy food. Should have been the other way around, but so good afternoon. My name is Kami Podakuchi, and I bring greetings from the Wayne State University Farmers Market. In the form of broccoli, kale, peppers, corn, and of course, a baguette from Avalon. I'm going to leave this outside. Those of you, the first person who guesses the number of vendors at our market today will get this basket. So, and you're invited to come to our market. We are on every Wednesdays until the end of October. We go from 11 to 4 p.m. And it's really, literally a block from here. You know, DIA, DPL, Farmers Market. So come on by next week. Okay, so let's set the stage. We know about the problems, right, in Detroit. Lack of access to grocery stores, not enough supermarkets selling healthy foods, high rates of diabetes and cardiovascular disease and obesity, and not enough, with people eating a lot more junk food and not having enough body fit, and a lot of vacant land that's sitting around unproductive. And there are many groups in Detroit, as I'm sure you know, that are trying to do something about it to resolve the problems and harness the resources. So I'm going to be talking about one effort. It's an effort based at Wayne State University, really as a way to make a case for why universities should do more on sustainable food systems and how they can be engaged, because universities have a special responsibility to society and to the communities in which they're located. So now, you'll see Wayne State University emblazoned in most of my slides, and that's not to say that Wayne State is perfect, of course. Far from it. I'm from Wayne State, and I know exactly how things work there or don't. But really, this is about, being at Wayne State helps us make the case. And so this is about a story that is still emerging. We're not very big, we're not very old. And so this is a journey that we've just started. So this gentleman here knows how to make fast food out of salad, right? So I'm going to talk about the rationale. There are many rationales why universities should be engaged, but I'm going to talk about 4, and I'll start from the less obvious to the more obvious. Universities, we know, feed the mind. They're about stimulating the mind and cultivating minds and building the next generation of workers and managers and leaders in our community, in our society. But we know that the mind is also connected to the body, and all too often we forget that linkage. If you look at, for example, what food is available both in terms of the dining halls and cafeterias, but also in terms of the other outlets that are available on campus, it's the same old stuff that you'd find anywhere else in the community, the burger places and the pizza places and the machines that dish out your junk food, candy, and pop. Now, I'm not saying we should ban those or do away with them, but how about also making sure that we provide more healthy options, fresh options. And of course, it doesn't have to take the form of a farmer's market, but there are other reasons why, for example, you might want to have a farmer's market on campus. So that's Chef Julio, and he's the executive chef at Wayne State University's AVI Food Systems. So the university spends quite a bit of money on food in its dining halls and cafeterias and at special events. And at Wayne State, the budget is something around $2 million. Imagine what it would be if a lot more of the money than is currently the case is spent on local sources. We're still trying to figure out how much of that budget actually goes into local sources, because their distributor does carry some products from Michigan farmers. And Michiganders in general spend about $26 billion on food, both in the form of groceries as well as in terms of eating out. And guess what? Only about 10% of that goes into the hands of local producers. So when you look at both what the university spends institutionally as well as what we university members are spending If we direct more of that money to local sources, we could make a huge difference. And today, of course, given the state of the economy, every small effort counts. And these numbers are not to be sneezed at. And of course, you can get real local, as in right from our backyard. At the farmers market, we have the Grown in Detroit cooperative that sells its produce from gardeners in Detroit every week. Another reason is universities strive to create benefits to the community. And so why not leverage the market power that exists among the people who work at the university, and just to use the farmers market again as an example, who shop at the farmers market. So we get about 1,000 customers each week at our farmers market, each buying about $12. You do the math in terms of the market power that exists at the market each week. And so with that power, we are then able to offer nutrition programs at the farmers market, such as, for example, the SNAP program, or the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, also called food stamps, and the farmers market nutrition program. We average about $400 a week on food stamps at our market, and between $50 and $100 in the farmers market nutrition program. These are modest amounts and couldn't sustain a market by themselves. But because we're able to leverage the market power of the university members and the members of the Midtown community who shop at our market, we're able to provide these benefits for the broader community. And of course, starting August 11th, we offer a doubling program where we match SNAP dollars spent at the market up to $20 per person per day, thereby benefiting impoverished households as well as benefiting local farmers. And that is made possible by the Fair Food Network. And we average about $500 per market day each, starting August 11th. Another reason, of course, the most obvious, is that urban universities engage with urban issues. So why not food system issues? I mean, we deal with a lot of, in our research and in the way that the curriculum is organized, universities address a lot of issues. And there's really, I can't think of a single department where, systematically studying food or doing research on food system wouldn't make sense. I mean, mortuary science, I think, has a connection to the food system. Math, I think, has a connection to the food system. And so there are ways in which we can start looking at how different fields connect with the issues and the problems raised by the food system. The picture you see is of experimental beds that are self-contained, that catch rainwater and then distribute them to the beds in the form of a drip irrigation system, so that we can do a variety of experiments. We're just testing, for example, is it possible to grow plants on top of a rooftop, of a parking structure rooftop, which gets really hot. But we're also doing some experiments related to contamination, airborne as well as soil pathway, contamination that goes through the soil pathways. So that's where Seedwain comes in. We are a program that tries to link very systematically to all the core functions of the university through research, teaching, engagement, and operations as comprehensively as possible to build sustainable food systems on campus and in the community. And practically everything we do, including those activities that I've showcased till now, links more to a greater or lesser extent to these core activities of the university. And the picture on your right is a rain barrel construction workshop that a team of students led on campus. So how do we build sustainable food systems, and how, what does it mean, and how do we build sustainable food systems? So an important function of a sustainable food system is to deliver in increased, in convenient ways, access to fresh and healthy foods. And we do that with 3 campus gardens. in which students grow food and share food with each other and donate food on some occasions to food assistance programs in the community. We run 2 farmers market. The weekly market, of course, I talked about, but we also have a monthly market, which is held on the medical campus, and that's the 3rd Thursday of every month. And of course, we have a program called Detroit Fresh, where we work with corner stores. We started on the east side and now have come onto the west side, where we try to get them to carry fresh produce. We work with the stores, help them build their capacity, and then we conduct outreach in the neighborhoods to let residents know that there's fresh produce available and that they should ask for produce and tell the store owners what they would like to see. And so here's a picture of one of our stores that's participating. It's a 300 square foot store. Tyrone and Jackie Borden are the owners. And when they first tried to create space, the only space that was available was the top 2 shelves of that chip assembly. And the first day they had it, the chip guy came in and of course, he was not happy, and he would not talk to them for a whole month. But the residents, when they saw it, they came in and they actually thanked the owners. I mean, these are usually, faceless, wordless transactions, as few words as possible. But they were very pleased that they actually got a positive reaction on the first day that they set it out. And we have 20 stores participating in this. The second important characteristic of a sustainable food system is that it shortens the distance between growers and eaters. And of course, we talked about the many ways in which that happens. Avalon, for example, sources a lot of its products, raw materials from local growers and producers. We have the the Youth Growing Detroit program, where young people growing food in Detroit sell them at our market. I mean, how short a distance, is that? And then we are also working with the Earthworks Urban Farm on Detroit's east side to build a 4,000 square foot passive solar greenhouse to both grow organic products very locally. It's going to supply the soup kitchen, but also act as a training program for adults and youth alike. And build capacity at every level of organization in the food system, right from individuals, including young people, to households, to organizations, and then neighborhoods and communities and regions. I mean, we need to think about what it means to sustain these levels so that we are able to feed ourselves into the future, and what kind of resources and social and physical infrastructure it takes. Preserving farmland, making sure that farmers are actually able to pass land on to the next generation and still able to retire comfortably. Giving residents opportunities to learn from each other in community gardens, and so on. And that's a cooking demonstration at our farmers market, where a chef is teaching, shoppers to cook with some what they might consider exotic farmers market products. And of course, a sustainable food system has to link to community goals. Goals in public health, nutrition, goals in economic and neighborhood vitality, goals in ecological health and the regeneration of ecological capacity, social justice, and democratic decision making. And I'm really pleased to report, and you probably know this already, a lot of activities on these various fronts are already taking place in Detroit, and I'm very pleased to be able to say that we partner to a greater or lesser extent with groups engaged in these efforts. So I could go on, of course, and we could talk about the many challenges. Of course, trying to build a sustainable food system is not easy given the powers of the corporate food system. And as I said before, we're located in a university, and trying to do this work in the community has specific challenges of its own. But I'm going to stop here and ask you, what are you doing to build a sustainable food system? Thank you.